In this lesson, we're going to create an Echo client to work with the Echo servant we created in the last lesson. And then we're going to test them out by running the client and the server and see if they communicate with each other. So let's get started. We'll call this program Echo Client.java. And of course, we'll do our imports first. Main has to throw an IO exception. The first thing we're going to do is create some objects. Our socket object, we're going to call it sock. A print writer object, which we're going to call output. And then a buffered reader object, which we'll call input. So the first thing our client has to do is create a socket that uses the local machine as the connection. That's 127.0.0.1. And of course, the port that the server is looking for is 10,007. And I should mention that 127.0.0.1 is indeed the IP address of the server, which is the local machine in this particular case. Our output object gets an output stream from the socket. Our input object also gets an input stream from the socket. It's a bit of a complex statement, so it's taking me a little bit of concentration to get it right. That looks kind of funky, but I want to make sure I get it all on the screen correctly, so that's how it's going to be. If it doesn't compile right, we'll fix it in a moment. That's all we need in our try. So now we're ready to do our catches. Our first catch catches an unknown host exception. If the local machine is not working for some reason, we'll get this exception. And then we'll just create a second catch for any other exceptions. The only other exception that we would probably get would be that we can't connect for some reason. Next, we need an input object to read from standard input so that the client can type something in. So there's our input object. Then we need a string variable to get user input, which we get right here. Then we display the user input, and then we return the echo from the Echo server right here. And that's all this client does. So now we're ready to close everything. And that should be all we need to do. So unless we've made a typo somewhere, which is quite possible given all these complex method calls, everything should be ready to go. So let's compile it. Fortunately, everything worked. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the server here. So there's this starting the Echo server. Now I'm going to open another command prompt window. Let's bring it down a little bit. And here we'll run this client. So notice that when we ran the client, we got a connection successful message at the server. Now the server's listening for input. So let's type a message to the server. The server received it and echoed it back. Let's try another one. Received and echoed. So here again is the code for the Echo client. And now we've seen how to use TCP/IP to connect to computers to send messages back and forth, although it's not really like a chat client. We're really not sending back and forth in the sense that the server is only echoing back what the client received. With just a little bit of extra work, you could easily build a chat system so that the client could send its own messages and the server could also send its own messages. So that finishes up this lesson, and we're ready to move to the exercise for this chapter on Java network programming.